Hello, hello, JJ DiGeronimo with Together We Seek. As you know, I am always seeking for knowledge and insight to better figure out who I am. And I feel like I've met one of my soul sisters in this interview because not only has she spent quite a few years in corporate America, decades. But she also is really about knowing yourself. And I talk a lot about in the work that I've done, both in my book Seeking and also on this podcast, about using these tools to better understand who you are and why you are here. So Jeanne Comeau is here with me today. Hello, Jeanne.
Hello, JJ, and hello, everyone. It's great to be with you all.
So I'm a huge lover of the birth chart and really knowing sort of the work you're here to do. And I know people might say, like, how can that be? Or why does it tell you so much? Or is that even true? But I feel like you and I know, like we've talked to enough people, our stars hold so much knowledge for us.
Right, but let's talk about why that is or how that works. We can bring in physics if you'd like, because we're talking about energy. Everything is energy. 99.999% of us is energy. The rest is a mere speckle of matter. And how astrology works is its vibration and its energy. And when you're born, and the spot that you're born in, what's happening in the sky, you come out, and you look up, this is your soul print. This is your blueprint. Even in C-sections, I believe that we chose the moment of birth, that the soul was timed to come in at that time. And it's the planetary positions of your, let's call it your rising sign, which is the first house. It's how you dawn on other people. It's where is your sun located by zodiac sign and house, how you are meant to shine in the world in this lifetime. And your moon talks about what your emotional needs are. If we know the ascendant, the moon, and the sun about an individual, we can understand a lot about what makes them tick. So how does astrology work? It's vibration. And I've been at it long enough to tell you it's absolutely uncanny. I use this phrase, which my guy gets tired of hearing, you just can't make it up, right? Because I see it in the charts of people that I work with. The story is there. It's laid out.
Well, I'd love to get to this because you also are a teacher and a leader in strength finders and other corporate tools that help people find out who they are. So how did the birth chart cross your path?
Interesting. I've always been drawn to astrology. My first book was, in my 20s. So always been drawn to it. And then I entered the corporate life, corporate technology, JJ, similar to your career. And it was just a hobby then. But I would read from my friends and they'd always say, oh, you should be an astrologer. But I was running the corporate stream. But in and amongst that, I always had a desire to help others, add value to others. And I was always seeking. So let me just back it up a little bit. I, like many of our listeners here today, have a library of self-help books, always looking for the next book that's going to give me the answer to what makes me tick. And so while I was a hobbyist in astrology, I never truly understood or studied my own chart. I'd go to astrologers and I'd get the 1 hour video and I'm like, oh, what are they saying? What are they saying? Let me write it down. And it didn't sink in until 2020, really, when I decided to take it up and study it as a professional astrologer, that I really delved into my chart and I saw the patterns. I saw the paths, and it's a picture, it's a symphony, it's art. But before that, just to speak about the other things that you mentioned, StrengthsFinder. It was 2014, and I came across a self-help study group. It was with a non-denominational church, and this particular pastor used StrengthsFinder to help us understand what our soul's purpose was in this lifetime. And I thought, well, sign me up because I'm still trying to figure that out, right? And I remember getting my top 5, JJ, and I cried. I mean, I'll share that. I just cried because I said, I'm not crazy. And there was nothing spiritual about it. It was just, these are your top strengths, and this is where you naturally draw comfortably, where you're naturally talented, and where you're most comfortable operating in that space. I used to think, well, why can't I be more like that person or that person or that person? Well, I'm not meant to be. So that took a lot of relief. It's not my bag, right? So StrengthsFinder, I really resonated with. And then again, COVID. It wasn't until COVID that I was able to find the time, and it opened up remote a certification as a StrengthsFinder coach. So I went into that, and I've been working with StrengthsFinder in my program. And even when I was still in corporate, I was using StrengthsFinder to team build within the team. Then alongside of that, one more, John Maxwell. John Maxwell, leadership coach. So I'm a certified leadership coach with lots of credentials. I have a lot of Virgo in my chart. And the one program of John Maxwell's that I truly love and resonate with, and was teaching also, and it is part of my program today, is Put Your Dream to the Test. The top 10 questions that, when you really delve through them in a mastermind study group, cause you to really put your dream to the test. And so these 3 things really hone in on who you are and what your soul is telling you. You came here to do, be, have, okay? And how to go about doing that. Yeah.
So beautiful. I feel like, since I learned birth charts too in 2020 and all through COVID, and I feel like for me, it was so eye-opening because I had been doing corporate strategy, who are you experiences, whether it's Myers-Briggs or Strength Finders or many others. I've done many others. That it wasn't until I saw the birth chart that I had a little bit of relief. Have you experienced that? Or how do you think the birth chart adds to those corporate tools?
I absolutely did experience that. And to answer it, I have to explain evolutionary astrology. So the birth chart is it's our birth chart. And there are many branches of astrology that can be used to analyze a person's birth chart, call it different dialects of the language. Evolutionary astrology is spiritual astrology. It's soul-based astrology. And it seeks to answer the question, why do I have the chart I have? And so its premise, JJ, is that we live many lives, that we've lived before and we will live again. That to understand that and the soul's journey, we have to all understand, and this comes back to vibration and energy, that we are all one. There was at one time, I can't tell you when, I don't think no one knows when, but we were all created. We were created as individual souls from the one. So we're all one. Evolutionary astrology looks at key points in the chart that tell us what energies we came into this lifetime with. The one thing that transcends death and rebirth is emotion. And people do have past life recollection. People do have that. I don't, but I certainly came with the emotions, and we all did. Life is not an easy job. And for some, it's harder than others. And why is it harder for others than some? They chose it. They were ready. Their soul was ready for those deep, hard lessons. And so evolutionary astrology works with the nodes, the south nodes, the south node, the north node, Pluto, and Chiron. All of those together can tell us the energy, the emotional energy that the individual came into this lifetime with. And then we take a look at within the birth chart, how did it tell me? I was able to understand why I couldn't seem to work through these, I don't want to call them pains, but these emotional ups and downs that I would experience. Well, I can see it right in my chart. And I can also see in my chart what planetary influences came in that bring additional friction to cause me to grow beyond that energy in this lifetime, and which planetary aspects are harmonizing to help me get beyond it. And so I can see the karmic story in the blueprint, in the blue chart, in the birth chart, which is the blueprint, to answer the question. It was super empowering because it led me to what I'm doing here today, JJ. I always had it in me to do what I'm doing now, but I, like all of us, the confidence and all of those things get in the way. But it's so apparent in my chart that I don't have a choice. You see, I don't have a choice. And I don't want to show up at the pearly gate without, when I get to the pearly gate, I want to hear job well done. That's just how I am. So I must do what I'm doing. And my birth chart pointed that out to me, and it allowed me to get beyond myself, to get unstuck.
I feel like it did that for me too, because I was like, why do I always keep going and diving into these really dense topics and have to do it this way? Why can't I have a more lighthearted journey? And then when I got my birth chart, I was like, oh, that's why.
Because you have Sun in the 8th house, and that is why. So the 8th house ruled by Scorpio was all about the deep dark. It's death and transformation. And why is it that? Because Scorpion, 8th house energy, has the courage to deal with it. So you chose to deal with that.
Some days, Jeannie, some days I'm like, why? But I would say like this has been super eye-opening for me. And I love that you layer in so many pieces and parts. So if people feel comfortable looking at their life in one way, this is just an added value. You can come in the back door and be like, why am I in this house? And why is this my work? And I think for all of you listening, Jeannie's links are below right now. So you can get to her website or YouTube or Instagram. So do you feel like, I guess, is there any one particular place in an individual's chart that really shines a light on what they're supposed to be doing?
Their north node.
Their north node.
North node. So the north node, the moon, because it's the emotion, the south node, past lives energy comes in. We relive our south node energy. It's the comfort zone. It's where we keep going back to. The north node is the only energy in the chart that will never ignite itself. So the stars are going to turn, you're going to go through these valleys and the rainbows will come and all of that, and you'll wonder why, et cetera, et cetera. The north node is out there waiting to be claimed. And it is the destiny for your soul in this lifetime. And when you understand what your north node is, and then what all the planetary aspects are there that are connected to it and supporting it, then you understand what you are to be doing in this lifetime. And that's when you feel most at harmony. We get there sometimes. We feel it. Those are the days when it's a sunshiny day. We just feel good about it. We're in that space. But inevitably, all the the fears drag us down and we go back to the south node. So it's really understanding your north node and your Chiron wound. I must add that the Chiron wound is here to be healed. It's very real. It's a very real wound, and it's an emotional wound. So we want to understand how that plays into the story as well. So we're empowered. We know, well, this is what's happening. When we understand who we are through the symbolism of astrology, we become empowered. It's like we're hearing the words that describe us in 3D.
That's amazing. And like you saw my chart for just a few seconds and you're like, okay, your south node is on your ascendant in your 12th house. That means you just were not able to live out your healing. I was like, wow, you are fast at this.
It's in the sign of Cancer in the 12th house, hidden behind the scenes. And so what is amazing about your chart is your ascendant is in Cancer, and you're here to do exactly what you're doing right now, especially with that Aquarian sun, conjunct Gemini, conjunct Mercury communication. It's great, JJ.
Oh, I love it. And this is my favorite thing I do all week. I tell my friends, even if no one listens, I'm doing this every week because it is like a spark plug. And I think this was the really important thing for me. I was really nervous to step into the spiritual aspect of my life. Like, what would the people think that know me? What would my family think? What my husband's family think? What would my tech community think? And it took me over a decade to really lean into this work. So 2014 was a big marker, 2012, 2008. And now I feel like just now at the end of this year, which my Pluto is moving into Aquarius. I'm finally like, this is home for me.
Oh, absolutely. So Aquarius is coming close to your sun. I forget which degree your sun is at. But I too experience that because people think spirituality is religion. And so as a metaphysician, the thing that got me the most about all of my studies was people are afraid of spirituality. But it's interesting why they're afraid. The ego doesn't want to stop sinning. You see, if I embrace my spiritual path, then I can't have fun anymore. And so they worry that you're not going to have fun anymore and you're going to get really woo-woo and start wearing a robe and start carrying a Bible and preaching if you embrace your spirituality. But JJ, all of Earth is going to be embracing their spirituality more and more because Neptune, as we know, finally leaving the sign of Pisces for good in February, enters the Aries, and the spiritual warrior comes out in every individual. So you will have more joiners to your audience, I'm sure.
I love that. I'm super excited. And Jennifer just posted from Facebook, very powerful, just made me understand things more with astrology and spirituality as a whole. I'm beginning my journey.
Awesome. Awesome. Welcome.
I think it's amazing. And for me, spirituality, it's amazing, the matrix, and how you're like really steered away from knowing thyself, because thyself is a teardrop of the bigger whole. And I feel like this whole spiritual journey is remembering about who we are and why we're here. And for me, the birth chart was really the on-ramp to allow myself or give myself permission or even have a little bit more confidence. And you talk a lot about dissolving these limiting beliefs and releasing the comparisons. So, you know, if someone's new to the birth chart, how do you think it will help them really feel more confident in their journey?
They'll know more who they are. They're one of a kind. We are one of a kind, absolutely unique. And when we're not living the full potential of our birth chart, there's a hole where you're supposed to be. And with evolutionary astrology and working with me or any other certified evolutionary astrologer, you'll understand what makes you tick. You're supposed to simply be you and let your light shine, let your sun shine. Is it? There's a lot to analyzing a chart. So when I work with a client, I ask a number of questions so I can understand more what they're looking for. And I spend a series of hours analyzing their chart. And just as I mentioned earlier, I would go to an astrologer and it would be a video and that would be all. And I'd leave all excited and I'd forget it all and life would go on. Well, I've got this thing about me, which I just can't do that to my clients. So they receive a customized report written not out of software. It's written for them by me that helps to point out the key aspects of their chart that explains how unique they really are, what the karma is they came in with, why they feel the ups and the downs, why they keep repeating things in their life, and what it is they're supposed to be doing. You know, the high road and the low road of all of these aspects is really important to understand. I even get on the low road some days. We all do. I'm human, see? But it's important. When you know better, you do better, Maya Angelou, right? So when you know your stars, which is my tagline, know your stars. When you know your stars, you know yourself. And you can sense those triggers. And you stop comparing yourself to others. I think there's nothing more self-loving than that. Stop comparing yourself to others. You're not supposed to be anybody but you.
This is so beautiful. From the minute I met you, I'm like, I just love your energy. I love how practical you make these tools. You create an easy on-ramp and you're integrating so much of what people already know in a very logical way. And I think for a lot of people, you take the fear out of using these tools to really decipher who we are and why we're here.
Absolutely. And for those that find their way to my YouTube channel, there is a video out there that is a presentation to the American Dowsers Association where I talk about why you should know your stars. And it's just a terrific beginner's journey into the language of astrology, particularly evolutionary astrology. So that would be quite empowering to understand that before you meet with an evolutionary astrologer, because I do that training so that we understand enough about the language that we're empowered when we meet with the astrologer, and we get the most out of it.
I love that. And before we go, I don't want to leave without really defining evolutionary, because there's quite a few astrologers out there.
Mhm.
So what is the difference between an evolutionary astrologer?
An evolutionary astrologer seeks to answer the question, why do I have the chart I have? It is looking at past life energy that came into this lifetime and how it set the soul up for the journey of this lifetime, the soul's journey of this lifetime. That is what evolutionary astrology is.
Jeanne, this is beautiful. All your links are below. I know that 2026 is going to be very bright for you. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything on the horizon you want to share with everyone listening?
Oh, just just more teaching videos will come out on my YouTube channel. I want to instill in folks enough knowledge about astrology so that they can really delve into, okay, now what do I do with it? I want to get beyond the language. I want to know, what do I do with it for myself? So more teaching videos will be coming forward in the new year.
I love that. And I love that you joined me here. I really feel that there's so much more to share. And I love all of you listening, because I feel like these tools are the tools that many of us need to illuminate our path forward. So
Absolutely.
you can always join us every Tuesday at 2:00 for the live interview and ask and post as Jennifer has, or join us for the podcast Together We Seek. So Jeanne, thank you so much.
You're welcome, JJ.
Your
Thank you.
work is
Blessings.
illuminating. And
Thank
I'm
you so
so
much.
thrilled.
Thank you so much. It's been a blessing to be here.
Oh, thank you. And thank everyone for listening. And we'll see you again here next time, or in the community TogetherWeSeek.online. Have a great week and happy holidays.